Alrighty. 6 o'clock, and that means it's 4K Skywatching time.
Red alert!
Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Tom King, and this is the 4K Skywatching podcast. It is September 5th, 2025, and it's Friday night. Happy Friday. We have a good show tonight. This is back to the Sedona episode 35. One thing that kind of bothers me about some news reporting we'll see is they never do a follow up. They just report it and they can ask some crazy questions and they never go back to do it again. So I'm part of this team, uh, the A.R.R.T. It's Arizona Reconnaissance, Record, Report team, and went out with these guys. You're going to be seeing more of them tonight. And we're a group of people. We're grassroots. We have no funding. We go out and do this ourselves. This is a channel made by Skywatchers for Skywatchers. It's the only channel like this doing it. We do this live when we can. We go out to the UFO hotspots wherever they are and recon it. One of us will go there. If there's any place where there's UFO activity on a regular basis and somebody reports to us, one of us will go out there. We'll set up some little bit of gear. We'll go out and see if there's anything to it. If there is, we'll go back, report it to our other people here, and we'll go out there with more equipment. That's what we did last Sunday night in Sedona. First trip there as a team. We all had a great time there, and we will be going back more. That's an excellent place that we can go out to Sedona and take advantage of living in a hotspot, using our equipment and using real grassroots funding. So this is there was I think a person watching who joined us last Sunday. You guys could join us. I mean, we're kind of like when you go to a MUFON meeting, you want to hear reports in your area, and they don't really do anything or they don't really show anything. We're like the modern day tech version of that. So we're going to be getting into that tonight, and we're going to see if we can track some balloons on flight radar too. I'll get into that in a second. So welcome, True Seeker. He came in first. Cheeky Bastard, good to see you. Metal Gaming, haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. I'm not sure when he's on. He's on after this. Yeah, maybe. I was thinking about Saturday's show too. Switching to Saturday afternoon and then doing some more live stuff. So yeah, thanks for. Hey, Brandon. Oh, just shoot your questions during the show. Eric Moyer, thank you so much. That really goes in the gas tank of this research. And you guys see exclusive stuff here. Now imagine if the Skywatcher group had something like this, and they did this live and whatnot, and they they they're going to have their stuff peer reviewed, which means you're never going to see anything like this from them. You're never going to see any raw footage. You're never going to see any insider stuff. Since it's being peer reviewed, who the hell are the peers aside from us, the audience? What probably maybe Skywatcher or Skinwalker Ranch guys probably send it to the SCU. But who else? So that'll be peer reviewed, but you'll never see it. And that's good. That's science. But here we're doing this different. We want to interact with people. How could we do this and report on Sedona 3 years after the fact when it's not a hotspot anymore? We have to do this now when the time is there. The idea they can get in helicopters and go after that's television stuff. But if there's a hotspot, we'll go there. I'm thinking about even California. I've done Utah, and possibly New Mexico and the Mexico border. We are talking about exploring the Grand Canyon as a possible show like you're going to see tonight. But Eric, thanks so much for that super chat. So let's go through a quick rundown of what's going to happen tonight. Here's what's going to be covered. We're going to go over the Sedona saga, which is a trilogy for me now. If you've been watching the channel, I first went there a couple of months ago. We met with Melinda Leslie, lovely lady, great Skywatcher. She took us out to a location. She brings Gen 3 night vision PVSs, 7s for everybody. And they saw just all hell breaking loose out on the horizon. So that was the first trip. The second trip, I went back. That was recon. Second trip, I went back with tripods, more cameras. I set it up. But I don't know, man. There's weird stuff going on out here, but you have to put it on a tripod. Otherwise, you can't make any sense of it. So showed the footage to the team, and they brought their equipment. So that's what we're going to see in the Sedona trilogy. And then I had some system captures that I recorded with the 4K system before last Saturday. Not, it's not earth-shattering or anything, but it's going to make you kind of think a little bit. So I like to kind of like keep up with this because I find out, and I have years of this stuff sometimes stored back a few years, and I want to try and just clean out this closet as I go. And there's Skywatcher News, which kind of got into, and history's being made next week with UFO Congress hearings. So we'll talk briefly about that. As far as what's kind of going on immediately here, there are a number of balloons up on flight radar right now as I speak. So if we go to flight radar and we go, here is Phoenix right here, and here's about where I'm located, where this aircraft is. Okay, but we zoom out a little bit, and we got this triangle here of balloons. Interesting. So I use this. This is fun. This is target practice. This happened, a couple of years ago when I was on the Disclosure Tonight with Thomas Fessler, and I said, hey, there's a balloon stuck south of me, and it looks like it's stuck in a circle making dick pics in the sky. So let's see what's going on over here. So we have this balloon up here. It's funny, there's not many, but they're all over here. And they didn't, and this is, this is kind of fucking funny. I talk about grocery bags a lot of times, and if you get one grocery bag and it's floating, you don't get 2 and 3 more grocery bags going, hey, how you doing? You mind if I float along with you? No, come on over. Well, that's what the goddamn balloons are doing, right? Because they're all from different places. This one right here looks like it launched, the launch point is Sholo. And Sholo is just up by the Arizona-New Mexico border. Then we have this guy here. This thing, look at this. Okay, the altitude of these are pretty high. They're up about 60,000 feet, so they're at a controlled altitude. This thing here came up from Canada, where Bigfoot comes from. So this thing has been up for a while, and it's probably a research balloon and whatnot. But look at how they all decided to grocery bag it and say, hey, why don't you all come on down over here? Well, welcome, come on. All are welcome. So then we have this one here. And this one came from the Tucson. And it did skiggly, staggly kind of things in the sky. They can control these when they go up and down. But they're all stuck over here. So tonight, what I'm going to try and do is use actual sort of gravitational lensing. As you know, when the moon comes up or it sets, it's like twice as big as it is. So when these targets are, God, they look like maybe 50 to 80 miles out. I haven't measured it yet. You can use that lensing to magnify them. Now, what you see looks like a teardrop. If they have a package below it, they don't have a heavy package. It comes up pumpkin shaped. If there's a heavy package, it goes down into a teardrop. Now, I tracked one of these, as I said before, almost by Casa Grande, and I measured that one, and it was stuck up there in a 1 mile per hour thing in a loop. It couldn't leave. It was stuck at the mercy of the wind. So I studied it overnight, measured it. It was 23 miles away. So the camera that's on my chimney, I know under certain conditions, if you look, you can find something 23 miles away. That's about a third of the state, quarter of the state away. So yeah, we're going to be looking at that. I also have this is the windshield wiper 2K camera, and I have the radar up. I had the radar down most of the week because the monsoon season finally came back, and it's unpredictable, and you don't want to have something like this up in the sky and then all hell breaks loose. A couple nights ago, it was thunder all night, so I'm thinking would make a great video if I had that up. But what if it gets hit by lightning? What if it gets, it's an asset. Take care of it. Tonight's show, I want to say, is brought to you by Whistleblower Coffee. I finally got some of that. It's over here on the drawing being delivered, and this is Beyond Black Coffee. It's mountain. It's French roast is the flavor I got. About 19 bucks a pound. Coffee's expensive anymore, but if you drink a lot of coffee, you know, try it out. It also supports whistleblowers financially and gives them something to fall back on because when they come forward, they probably could lose their pension. It could be pulled away. That's one thing the government has a grip of them on is they can lose their pension. And then what do you expect a guy who spent 20, 30 years in the military to start doing Uber driving because he's a whistleblower? Come on, support these guys if you can. So let's get into some of the media that's going on tonight. God, let me show you the setup. So anyway, we're all kind of going over these videos, and Dan saw some stuff in some of my videos, and so I'm going to point out some of those highlights. Just kind of interesting. So we went out there to Sedona, and we set up, and everybody drove by themselves. Andre, if you're watching, say something in the chat. I think he's Andretti or Andre. He showed up. I think he's seen this podcast before. So we got there, and you definitely need to get to a location like this before the sun goes down so you can appreciate the beauty of it in the daytime. And then also to set up all your gear. Now, what you're going to see in the setup photos is I'm clearly the woman of the group. I'm the one that has all the shit, that has too much shit. I'm kind of envious. I look at some of the other guys like, I got this tripod, camera's on, I got this tripod, screw on the lens, I'm ready. And I'm like, shit, man, I'm wheeling extension cords off the van. I almost brought a coffee machine. Next time I bring in a coffee machine, we're going to have a grill. I think Dan is a generator. So we'll have our own power, maybe a Starlink setup so we can do it live. So anyway, we set all this stuff up. And you want to do it in the daytime so you can see what the fuck you're doing. Then when it gets nighttime, I just chill. That was my whole thing. This is my third trip up. So I'm just going to relax, record, and report. So that's what we're doing tonight. So let's look at the Skywatcher setup. So this is a cool setup. I like this. I have no idea. What you're seeing is in the white shirt is Chris Donald. Next to him in the black shirt is Clyde Christopher. So these guys are almost set up. Dan, I don't think has arrived at this point. And I love this location. It's flat, so you can't trip on any rocks at night. We kind of have a thing when we're set up, being very, very careful walking around because You could trip over a tripod and knock a $2,000 to $3,000 piece of equipment down. So that's about the only thing you're here to worry about. Um, there's a micro drone flying around filming this. I had no idea this happened. I couldn't even see it. I was so focused on the 20 or so things I had to set up. Oh, okay, good. Hey, thanks, Brandon. Sounds like this sounds good. Usually that's what goes to hell around here. So during this Skywatch, my goal, and Skywatch 3 of the trilogy here, was to not touch my cameras once I get them set up and fixed and recording, because I want to do a good time lapse. If you touch your cameras and move them around, then when you do a time lapse, it's all messed up. So I screwed up on my second time, and something looked blue was flying in, and I had to pan and get to that. Couldn't help it. And I explained it to everyone. Kind of like, there's Dan, he's getting set up. That you're going to see some weird stuff, and we kind of pointed towards the area that we wanted to go, and look in that direction, and just said, look, you're going to see some strange stuff here, but at least with my goal that night, and I accomplished it, was to just set up the cameras and leave them all alone, and then in the end, we can go through this footage, and if anything's a helicopter or whatever, it's going to stand out, because we want to see, is there an underground military base or any of that stuff. Eric, how you doing? Oh, Dan, you made it in. Yeah, Dan is the one you saw there in the footage. And all these guys, their email and their contact is listed up above in the description. So you can get a hold of them if you want to ask them any questions. Oh, good. Okay, so, oh, yeah, thank you. I wanted to bring this up. You guys out there, you could do the same thing wherever you are. It does not have to be freaking Arizona or Nevada or wherever. Do this wherever. If you live in BFE in the middle of Cleveland or Iowa, or whatever, some state that you fly over, there's not a lot of cities like out here, wherever. Put together your own skywatching club. Get a buddy. Start a buddy system. Get a guy who can look at whatever footage you have, you look at theirs, and keep each other grounded from going, kind of insane here. And start skywatching. These shows are lessons on how to do this on a grassroots level with no funding, no billionaires, nothing. So get a buddy. If you need a buddy, go to a local MUFON meeting if you're in a larger city, and find somebody that you kind of get along with, and tell them, hey, look, I want to do more than just watch speakers. I want to get involved. I want to do stuff, and I already have my stuff. A lot of people watching the show already have a UFO app, or they have something. Usually, you got at least a phone. You got something you're watching this on. So get a buddy system and get together and say, hey, let's try something from one of these episode numbers or something. These are instruction manuals on how to do all this. Go out and repeat this science. Go out and start your own. You don't have to have a podcast if you don't want. You can do the Gary Nolan one. You can just go out and collect it, and then go back over it, see if you got anything, and move on. Look at the hot spots in your state, no matter where you are, or no matter what country you are. We have people watching from all over the world. So yes, start your own stuff. Get buddies, do this. Uh, if you watch a show, I don't really think much about people from Congress, and they're not going to really get us too far. It's historical, but this is all hands on deck. We're all doing our part. I'm doing mine. Skywatcher's doing theirs. Nap's doing theirs. All these podcasters are doing theirs. Fessler's is doing his thing. We're all chipping away, and there is progress being made, but it looks like we're stuck in the mud. When all of a sudden stuff drops on Netflix, stuff drops on a streamer, a new whistleblower comes out. When there's a lot of media, it seems like there's a huge movement. And then when it's kind of slow and there's not a lot of news, it seems like nothing's happening. But there's always something happening. Always. So let's see. Let's look at a few setup photos. And yeah, I'm so busy setting up. I'm like, I can't believe we're freaking doing this. The vibe out there is like Hawaii. It is chillax. It's just mellow. So all I had to do was set up the gear and kick back and talk and look. And I told them I'm not going to touch my cameras, and you'll see stuff, but just do whatever. And it didn't take too long until I hear Clive going, "Look over there! Look, it could be a helicopter." And he's got cinema cameras there. He's got 6K. Um, really, really good stuff that you can shoot documentaries with. So we all took turns talking, doing an interview for Clive, and everybody has their own, stuff that they bring. It's nice to have a mix. So I have my different types of cameras. There are other cars up there too. I'm pretty sure Melinda Leslie was somewhere up there with her group. That's the equipment Dan brought out. It looks like he's got some type of possibly Sony camera. I'm not sure, he could drop in the comments. And then also his night vision Luke Skywatcher camera. And also, I want to point out, um, this is not a real advertisement, but let's see, bring this other thing here up. These tripods, if you need them, I have one, Dan has one. You can get these from Home Depot for $70, and they'll hold like a water bucket full of weight, like 50 pounds. They don't have a tilt head, but you can use the legs for that. But if you need something, I mean, if you have one, get one really, really, really good tripod, and then have this for a secondary or for your friend. Um, so yeah, that's a tripod. So he's got a couple of those, and it does the job. So there he's out with his equipment. I think I got something up there. So yeah, I'm the woman setting up the laptop, and I got all my stuff and my potato chips and my water. And beautiful picture by Chris Donald. And yeah, we're just about set up here. The sun's going down. I bring a lamp to turn stuff on too, because I got some bright lights from Home Depot, but I don't want to shine those on and ruin a shot. So yeah, after everything's set up, we just kind of just chilled. We had some really killer music that Chris brought and played on a JBL. So that was our that music he played. That was our dog whistle. Hey, we're here, man, with these cameras, and we got some chill music. So if you want to show up, show up. So we saw many things that night. I know me and Dan saw a few things. Uh, at some point, I saw something that looked like a laser shoot over of light, and I saw that happen a couple of times. And I don't know why, but I was wearing these UV glasses, and you don't need to wear them at night. I was wearing those, and I thought maybe it's the glasses. And then Dan said something just like it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy. Dan is seeing the same thing. And this isn't like UAP. This is like looked like a white laser or something that just shot over us. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I started saying, okay, it's not. It's like 8:27, and then and then I started saying when this was happening so we can play it back and go over it with a fine tooth comb. So, but there's Chris. But is that real? What, and that was one thing we saw. Then these other things we were seeing, what these lights would appear, and then they would kind of bank and take off, but there were clouds there. So I'm wondering, are we seeing real UAP weird stuff, or is this um, stuff playing tricks with your eye? We had a half a moon out that night, so it was pretty bright. When the moon was out, you got a shadow, you can see where you're going. When the clouds hit it, it shut off. So those weird streaks did show up on one of my videos, but every time we saw these weird things kind of moving, I was just sitting there tempted, like, I don't think my cameras are getting that. That's a little bit above these mountains I'm pointing at, and I refuse to get up and touch that camera. I wouldn't. So it's tempting. So to me, that's a dog whistle. The weird things that happen during Skywatch. Like I had this rule: I'm not touching those cameras. So what happens? Something strange shows up just outside of the camera range, and stubborn. I refuse to go touch it. So I was telling him, if you're going to do this, it's going to happen. And Clive was pointing all over the damn place. So let's look at the time lapse. So since I didn't mess anything up, you can check out the time lapse right now. Yeah, meet people at MUFON. Maybe they're looking for people too. Yeah, a lot of this stuff that thermal just God thermal before COVID was a $4,000 or $5,000 purchase, and you had to get a hunting scope. Now you can get these thermal cameras for about $300 on eBay, and for a while it was 100. Yeah, yeah. Musical is only going to go so far as the dog whistle. You know, if you can't find them locally, then get a buddy that's like T Fox. You hook up with Cheeky Bastard or Metal Gate. You guys can exchange emails or whatever, or send your shit over to me or something. We'll get this figured out. So let's hit the time lapse here. That has no camera shakes. So we're looking at 90 minutes or so, condensed down to a minute 40. So the stars are going down. We have flashing lights that are probably landing at either Flagstaff Airport or somewhere in Las Vegas. And then we have satellites that shoot up and over to the right, and sometimes you see them shoot over to the left. Very really bright ones. And none of this was visible with the naked eye. Like all this stuff moving around, you couldn't see any of it. This was a 6 power from the Luna Optics 2K night vision device. It works very, very well. It's comparable with using like a PVS7, something along those lines. And typically, red objects on here turn out to be satellites and the other flashing ones and whatnot. So you saw it, nothing there Sunday night, at least over that area, was helicopters. And then I had a thermal camera, which has a range of about 7 miles for heat detection for objects like this. That saw all the underneath with the ground going into those mountains. So that saw what below this camera didn't. And if there's like cars driving around or any of that type of heat, it's going to pick this up. So no helicopters coming out of there. Then I had, oh yeah, this damn thing. I went old school. I bought a high 8 camera with. This was kind of fun. Getting a little dog whistle there. So I brought this with. I had a brand new tape that was sitting in this case for 26 years, not opened. So I opened that thing, popped it in here, and did some B-roll on here. So it's kind of funny because when you look at it, it's like found footage material. Let's see. Anyway, I'll get that queued up here in a bit. Um, oh, there we go. It popped in.
Yeah, me too. Calling shotgun. See, and get the fuck out. He called shotgun on the alien ride.
Yeah, we all wanted to get out of here if the aliens landed. And I called shotgun on that.
Yeah.
You can hear the motors and whatnot running on this. this expensive or this noisy little thing. But yeah, you never know if a bear came up or something. It's old school. I don't even remember how old the buttons on that work. That thing's just been sitting around collecting dust, but it's amazing. It uses the same batteries that all these modern devices use. So let's look at some of the weird clips um, from that night. So this one here is going to be a clip from a section of the video I shot. And I'm going to skip to see what you can do with these is if you don't touch your cameras, you can find out if this helicopter is going in those mountains. See, it kind of look like something goes in there that's but a star in the background is going down. But what we want to do is look here. Maybe something shoot down.
Yeah, in Skinwalker Ranch, what you don't see is they have a pretty. Well, you kind of see it in some of the episodes, but they have tables.
Right there.
Yeah, in
This was,
Skinwalker
I
Ranch,
believe, captured on
well, you kind of see it in some of
is
the
it Chris's camera too? Same time. So
episodes.
I don't know. I mean, it's shooting star. It's a thick shooting star because it looked thick on all of ours. It could just be that. So we're looking through the footage for any weird things that stand out. There wasn't nothing like orb or crazy looking. I don't know what the Melinda Leslie group saw um, from their point of view, but at least where we were looking, that was that part of it. Let's see. And then Dan has a really good eye. All of us um, have something different in this group. Clive likened it to like the Ghostbusters type of thing, and I kind of agree because on like when we were going out on March 13th, um, that's what it felt like. I was going out. This guy Steve Blonder was reporting these orange lights every night, and he was looking for somebody to come over with some equipment to tell him what it was, and that was what we did. And here, what 28 years later, I'm still doing it, but doing it on a better scale with more gear. So yeah, this kind of we all have something different that we bring, and Dan has really good. He looks at some of this stuff in a way that I wouldn't.
Well,
Or I just don't have time to. He
you're already
maps
above
stuff
that.
out.
You're headed to
He looks at
Flagstaff.
possibilities of if this is.
So this is
So we're
lower over here. This
6
is
miles away from the Bradshaw
5,700
Ranch.
feet. This plateau.
We are looking skywatching directly
we
over
were
head
right in
of
here.
that place.
We were about 1,500 feet higher than the ranch. Is what Chris was saying.
So he looks at all kinds of different views like this.
Sometimes
So that's why it's great to work in a team of people, so you could
the height would be
point out different
any
things
of those going to Flagstaff or Prescott
in the video. Because I didn't catch that. I looked at it. I was looking for something else.
Plateau where
on there.
You got time to react. There's one that come out of the hoodoos again.
I was looking for this light that shot over. So we'll look at that here in a second.
Now, is that a plane? It might be flashing. I don't know. It kind of came out.
So the full video here. Let me get into that one. All right, so look for a streak of light here. See, I just got it queued up. It'll happen in about a minute. I don't know. This is what I think this is what me and Dan were seeing. That we thought was like a laser or something, but is it just a laser pin? I don't know. I think that's an airplane going by up at the top left that won't be in the cloud. To keep watching. Could be why you'd see things light up and then disappear in the distance. You're gonna be a lot of times just a regular explanation for it
Well,
all.
that's fucking insane, man. Everybody's saying, "Oh shit, no one ain't got no fucking video." You know, that's why I got that fucking thing in the van. Someone pulls up behind me and starts some shit. You know, fucking starts some shit. He said at least two more.
Okay, so something dived down towards the bottom. There's a couple of either shooting stars or something.
He said at least two more.
Probably hard to see. If you're watching on a phone, you're not probably going to see a lot of this. There's something else shooting down. So there's always something flying around out here. Quite a bit at the end. So I don't know. Some weird stuff, but the video doesn't show it as strange as we saw it. But we're still going to go back because you're not supposed to see anything weird. It's supposed to be normal. You're supposed to just see satellites and planes and whatnot. But still interested in that helicopter and underground base theory. Maybe we're just not looking in the right direction. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing weird going on in Sedona. I'm sure there is. But we just aren't seeing it on our Skywatches yet. But we'll go back. Just because you go out there once doesn't mean it didn't happen. That's something the skeptics will do. Oh, I went out there. I didn't see anything. Well, I've had that happen when I brought compilation videos to the local news. They're like, "Well, we're going up. We don't see anything." Well, that before people had phones, they still weren't looking up, and people just started looking around. So let's go into some captures that the system got. So I'm skywatching on Saturday, and see a few things. So I'm gonna set this up. This might be hard to see. What we're gonna see now is a couple of black dots, I guess, enter the scene. I didn't see them. I saw it. I found them when I was going to record the footage off or pull the footage off the NVR. But what I saw was the thing that came after it, and we're going to use this as a control piece for what I'm going to show you in the third clip. So good to see you too, Marcus. Aren't you over in, was it Finland? It was Finland. It looks you up on the map. That's fine. So let's get this media queued here. We will go to control object video. And it will play. So over where it says 4K Skywatching is where these objects are going to come out from the right and move over to the left. I'm including them here as a control piece. They're kind of at the bottom of the screen moving around. People say all the time when you go out skywatching, well, did you go back and have balloons? Well, you can't command balloons and grocery bags to come along. But yes, people who do skywatching, we all see that stuff. We collect that stuff and we compare it against the weirder things that we run across when we do this. So those two things are over there. Usually I don't see black objects for some reason. I usually record stuff that's white phosphorus looking things. So this thing's just kind of circle around. Then an object comes out, and I'm zoomed in. My zoom power right now, I think somewhere, I don't know. This was with the 2K dome camera, the one with the windshield wiper on. So these black things that we see that kind of circle each other, these are probably hawks. That's what I'm thinking. Hawks travel in groups of about two. And I am an expert sky watcher here in the Phoenix area. I know what is normal, what you should see, and what you shouldn't see. Now, if I went to a different place like Las Vegas, downtown, that place is very dirty. So you have to become acclimatized to that location you're sky watching in. And it could take a couple of weeks of sky watching until you're used to seeing what is normal in that particular area. Same thing if I went out to Florida. They would have their own, they would have a lot of birds, a lot of seagulls. So you have to get used to that. We don't have that type of stuff here. We don't have a lot of seagulls because there's nothing in Arizona for them to eat. So this white blinking thing is the other object we're going to study. This camera I have is a 45 power zoom lens. I also have a Nikon P900 and Nikon P1000. I would say that this is close to that power. I can see with this camera Jupiter and 4 moons. I could see pretty good moon footage with this. So it's not as powerful, but it's pretty damn close. So it's a great tool to use for a dome camera out there now. If you want to add something like this into your collection, I did really like this camera when I first got it because of what we're seeing now is kind of like you don't get that clear of a blue sky with this, and that's because I muddied the image on purpose. Later in the video, I unmuddy it, but it wasn't a really killer crisp 4K. That's what I didn't like about this camera. But I got used to it. I like the power it has now. I filmed a few weird things with it since I've had it. And eventually what happens here is this is going to catch my attention, and I'm going to zoom in on max power. This also has a digital zoom. So the digital goes up to, I think, 90 power. So that's why it's comparable when you flip into the digital zoom mode of this camera, that it does get pretty close to the P900. So let's move into that section. So interesting to see why it's flashing. Why is this object flashing? As I study it, I zoom in so I get a kind of a position where I'm looking. So I'm looking to the east with this. And now I'm getting it set up so when it does fly, it's going to fly right across the center of the screen, and I can just zoom in as much as I can and take an optical look at this. Now I've broken in to the area where we can actually see structure of whatever this is. Instead of just like 8 light pixels by 8 light pixels, we start seeing color. We start seeing some resolution to help us figure out what this is. Since it's moving slow and it tracks in the same direction, it is most likely with a 99% chance that this is a balloon of some type. And it does kind of look silverish sometimes, kind of like that chrome, I guess, UFO look once in a while. And then also, other times when it, I guess, turns over on the other side of this tumbling object, you see some red, some yellow. So, I mean, see, that's telling me that this probably was some kid's birthday balloon. There's no string. There doesn't have to be. But it's not exactly moving like I see a lot of balloons, but it's most likely a balloon regardless. So the flashing this camera was able to resolve was because of the sun uh, glinting randomly off the object. So that tells you some things. When you have flashing that's totally random like this, and it doesn't have a rhyme or a reason, then it's probably something reflecting off the sun. Now, this green tube thing I've recorded that George Knapp was sitting here and he looked at, This thing pulses in a pattern. It was like it would power up and they go boom, boom, bam, boom, boom, bam, boom, boom, bam. So that thing was electronic. That thing had a repeatable kind of pattern to it. This is just at the mercy of the sun. So this is a good control piece to say, okay, this is the mundane thing. This is expected. And then the weirder stuff. So here's something that flew over just a little bit earlier. This one isn't as doesn't have much resolution, but this one has a little bit of three different type of objects wrapped up into one. So you watch it, and your first instinct will tell you this, and then I'm not sure. I don't think this is really like the Tic Tac or anything. I just not. This is just a weird piece of thing flying around. This object flies down and it tumbles, and I figured, well, I think I've seen a debris fly down. So I grabbed the mouse and I scrolled down, and it's actually still there. I'm like, what the hell? It's still there? Is this debris, like sky trash or what? So I'm zoomed in already, so I'm not touching the camera. This is how this flies. Now it's not dropping down. Now it's going up. So there I zoomed in. So now I'm going to try and figure this out. And then that's how it flies. It's moving up weird like that, and the plane flies by. So now I zoomed out a little bit so I don't lose it. And now I'm going to try and figure out, what is this thing? Is this a leaf? There's a digital artifact right there. What is this? So now it's tracking left. So it just changed direction 3 times randomly. That balloon we were watching spent 20 minutes going almost in the same direction. Now this thing looks like it's flapping. And it's tracking in the same direction. So if this was sky debris, and I've seen these things like cotton, stuff like that in the wind, you don't track them like this long, and they don't change directions that quick. This is just a little bit of a strange puzzle here. So in the beginning, it has a couple of weird characteristics. In the beginning, it looks like debris. In the end, it moved kind of like, but no bird flies like that. And then the end, it kind of moved like a bird or something heading like UAP heading in heading consistent direction. I'm going to freeze this when the plane goes by. Okay, so you can just barely see this at the top where it says 250 above the 2. Then, with the planes are 200 by 200 flying above. I'm zoomed in. That plane is up 1 mile, right? So how do we tell how big this is? I was watching the Mark Willis podcast yesterday, and Tim Senior was on there too. And they had Mark D'Antonio on there. He's an astronomer. The guy's like the human version of ChatGPT. He could be one of those aliens walking amongst us. He's just too freaking smart. So anyway, he's on there, and they're talking about the I3 Atlas incoming thing, whatever you want to call it, satellite. I think maybe it's a silence, right? Maybe it's a silence coming in, and they're burning nickel off the back. Who the hell knows? And they're checking on Mars, and Mars, those people are dead, so they'll swing around over to us. So we'll see. But it's fun to hypothesize. So anyway, he's on there, and I asked him this. Look, with these UFOs, we're always told that you cannot figure out the size of it because you only have one camera pointing at it, and that's just one angle. So you need another angle or another thing to triangulate, yeah, but to also kind of get a bearing on the size. Because it could be something huge that's way up there in the sky, or it could be something small, close to the camera. So if we have to deal with that, and that's a fact, in ufology, then how the fuck do astronomers know the size of the I3 Atlas from Earth? That's only one perspective. We don't have the view from Mars like they would do if this was UFO footage, right? What the fuck? So the same shit applies. So he's like, well, it moves, and you know what? It just turns out all that shit's a guess. All of it. all that astrophysicist stuff is just mainly there's some science into some of it, but there's a lot of hypothesizing, and they don't say they should start everything with, well, the working theory is, and then start talking, but they don't. They just say, well, this and that and that and that and this. It turns out it's all made up. It's all based on best guesses, closest estimate, estimates of the combined knowledge, but they don't freaking know, right? So anyway, with this thing's strange things next to the plane. So we can look at the size of the plane's engine. The size of the plane's engine is going to be about 8 foot, at 6 foot or so. Then you can compare this to the size if that object is up at that altitude with that plane. It's about this big. It's about balloon size. But that didn't move like no balloon. Because we saw a balloon just before that. That thing was a balloon. What is this thing? What is that thing that's moving around? Is it So what do we do? This is where I was writing in the description. You're going to have to use a little bit of critical thinking there. Um, so do we take footage like that and throw it away? Ignore it? I mean, I'm not going to post that on Twitter or nothing. That's just going to sit there in the archive of things to compare. What do we do with stuff like that? That's the question. Um, you should look at it, study it. This is what I'm going to do, and then archive it and compare it against other unknowns. But is this how some of these UAPs sneak in and move around, mimicking something? Like at first I thought it was debris, and then it kind of flapped, and then it just took off. Let's look at the blow up of this and see what that tells us. All right, so this object was stabilized and then enhanced. So that don't look like no bird. I can tell you that. And, it's orange, and it's should have read this in slow motion. It, it keeps fumbling around. I mean, it almost looks like a leaf blown in the wind, but the leaf would have to be a pretty damn big size. So I don't know. It's strange. It's orange. It, it at first tumbles like debris, but then it takes off like some type of bird. So anyway, I'm gonna keep focusing on weird stuff like this because you never know if a UAP just is mimicking something. Now, since we can see the orange and a little bit of shape changes in that, that tells me it's not the sphere. This is not the sphere network of those things because we would see a pinball moving around instead of this orange thing. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? What do you do with this stuff? Safe passage to Alderaan. Hey, Ray, I'll go to see you. Happy Friday. Multiple satellites. Yeah, they talked about that. If you're watching Skinwalker Ranch, um, you probably should. Last episode 14 came out. Dave Mason was on some of those. Um, they're actually doing science in a hotspot. Where everyone wants this to happen. It's finally happened. It's occurring on a yearly basis. It's probably meant to never end. So they can get 14, 20 seasons out of this. However many they have of Honey Boo Boo, you multiply that times 5. So put some science out there. And they actually have some tangible stuff that they got out of them, Mesa. And they went and tested it, and it has some pretty strange properties. Now, I'm not a geologist or a computer programming expert, I'm a professional skywatcher roboticist. I don't know anything about that stuff, but they do. So my opinion is with that, I would replace the team at Skinwalker Ranch with a different set of scientists and dig it out. Um, what I would do is send Travis on to something else so he doesn't have to spend his entire life in freaking middle of Utah. He's done a great job. He's kicked this off good. Now bring in a new team of scientists and let's see if they can repeat the experiments. Let's see if they find, well, this would almost be like a jury. Let's find a team of scientists that have never watched Skinwalker Ranch before, that aren't tainted by any of the information out, and they don't know goddamn thing about no goddamn bubble or the dome or whatever they freaking call it. Let's see if a whole different team of people can come up with the same conclusion. And if they freaking did, then that has some pretty heavy weight to it. But if you just got, people in there doing this, it's only going to take it so far. Now you bring maybe, I don't know what it would take. That's probably a bad idea. I was thinking if you take that Tyson DeGraff guy, put him in there, hard ass, put Mike Schumer in there, Vic West, Bird guy. I don't think they believe anything. He probably says, "Oh bullshit," but at least try a different team of scientists and pay him, and take Brandon totally out of the equation. Even though he's paying for it, I would take him out of the equation. Just have him sign and own everything, but have somebody else look at it, so that way it isn't tainted. Because when you're watching like the episode of Skinwalker Ranch and they're up in his tower at the Doctor Evil roundtable and all that shit, it's like everybody has to keep him happy, So that is a little bit of pressure, to talk. And on the recent episode, they had on there, I think it was Jay Stratton, and I know they had Gary Nolan on there, and they had the Rabbit guy, Eric Davis. Um, so anyway, they had Eric Davis in there, and at the end they started talking, saying, "This is interesting, this is exciting." I think it looked to me, my opinion, was Travis was trying to brainwash all of them that this bubble's real. So they go out on other podcasts and television shows and promote the bubble. And then the bubble's all owned by Brandon Frugal. How lucky. Um, I think that was what I saw on 14. That's what I saw anyway. They were trying to sell it to him. I doubt Eric Davis, I don't know him, is going to buy into the bubble, but I think he believes there's weird shit going on at Skinwalker Ranch. But there's way, way more weird stuff going on here. I mean, that's just one part of Utah that they're going in. And then I was up at Moon Lake with Tim Sr. and David H. Altman. We went up there and did Skywatch. And yeah, one of the reasons I brought the High 8 camera is up on the Skywatch. Jennifer brought her old ass High 8 camera. That's what she had. So anyway, we're up there, and they're interviewing people who saw Bigfoot. This was the whole fucking town. Everyone, the whole town of like 50 people saw Bigfoot, right? And then we're out there doing Skywatch, and then I'm hearing, okay, there's UFOs here, there's Bigfoot, and a lake monster. Well, you gotta be fucking shitting me. A lake monster too? Shit, do you have dinosaurs from Jurassic Park around this motherfucker also? Because this has everything going on for a place no one ever goes to. So this reminds me of the Loch Ness Monster theory. And that is, as a kid growing up, we had a library in our school like everybody else, and they had a section of books. You had to do book reports. So all the guys and stuff would pick out whatever they could. And I went straight to the shark books, UFO books, the ancient alien type stuff, the Loch Ness Monster. Mysteries. I always thought when I grow up, I'm going to solve what that Loch Ness Monster is, because I'd get a boat. This was when I was like 7. I'd get a boat, and it'll come up, and I'll get a photo, and we'll figure it out. Then I grew up. Now I realize that's most likely all a bunch of shit. That there is no lake monster at Loch Ness, because if it was, it would have turned up from all these scientific boat investigations with sonar and whatnot. What I think happened was somebody took a photo of the log or something like that. It went viral back in the day, and then pretty soon In Search of and That's Incredible and all these TV shows started doing all this stuff about UFOs and ghosts and werewolves and Loch Ness monsters and all this shit. And it turns out it was a bunch of shit. It was made up by the locals. This is my theory. It was made up by the locals so they have a tourist attraction. So they have postcards to sell. Bait and tackle shops have people coming in. All the locals, I bet you everybody around that lake has a Loch Ness story. Just like everyone around Moon Lake saw Bigfoot, but no video. So I'm careful when I go out and Skywatch of the Loch Ness Monster effect. Is this a bullshit story to get people to the town? So they will go there and spend tourist bucks. That's what I think the Loch Ness Monster was. Moon Lake, probably the same thing. I mean, a fucking lake monster, UFOs, and Bigfoot, and nobody ain't got no video of none of it. But everyone in town seen it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I watch out for. I'm skeptical of that pre-monetization by the locals. And then people like me that come in, scientists with cameras and gear, and then it's like, well, there's no there here. Um, so yeah, so Gary Nolan was at the Skinwalker Ranch meeting. Okay, Gary Nolan was also at the Skywatcher group with Jake Barber. So you put, two and two together here. Is it the person who's funding my also theory? I don't have any proof that Brendan Frugal is most likely funding Skywatcher. If it's not him, it would be Bigelow. They're the only two billionaires that spend their money on UFO related projects. Who else has the funding to do that? Think about it. I mean, what would it cost? I mean, it wouldn't cost nothing for Brandon to fund whatever Skywatcher is doing. Maybe a million, 2 million for helicopter gas, location permits, and radar and funding for these guys to do it. I mean, the risk of that funding versus the reward of maybe that dog whistle works seems too enticing for Brandon to pass up. I mean, the guy has Lamborghinis. He's got all kinds of cool props and shit. He's like a nerd like me. If I had his money, I'd be funding that shit. I'd be funding Skywatcher too if I was Brandon Frugal. So my theory is later we'll hear someone will fuck up, probably Danny Sheehan, say, yeah, Brandon Frugal's funding Skywatcher. Oops, wasn't supposed to say that. That's my theory on that. So Jake has posted some information about what he's up to. So the more the merrier. We need as many Skywatchers as we can get no matter what. They're doing it differently. That's cool. But here's what he has to say. Hello, folks. I'm pleased to provide an update. Skywatcher here, doing her thing. As you may have read or heard, a number of sources, including our official Skywatcher account, we have completed our first round of contracted field operations and have collected nearly 10 terabytes of data. We are now having that data processed and assessed in accordance with the independent verification and peer review outlined in our discovery framework. So cool. So what they did was for 1 week a month, they went out and I guess Skywatch with all this gear, and they did for 7 months, and then now they're having people look at it. Who's looking at it? We are his peers. Is we getting a copy of this? Does everything go to SCU? So to give you an idea of that, 10 terabyte is this much hard drives worth of data. These are 5 terabytes apiece. Okay, quite a bit of data. And to also compare, my 14 cameras running here record about 2.1 terabyte of data per day. And that's not using these UFO apps. If I turn those on, and everybody knows how much they can record, it can go way up the road. So I'm doing 2 terabyte a week easily and storing them, but not permanently, just the good stuff. And then if you got a Ninja system, these are beautiful camera systems, monitors. They have HDMI in and HDMI out. You can record 4K in and then pump it back out to a bigger TV. It's got solid state drives. You can fill these puppies up. One of the cool things is if you have, like, say, a Panasonic high-end camera, like I have the GH5S. And some of the people, I think Truth Seeker, don't you have a Sony AX7 or something like that? You hook these up and put your camera to this. And I know Clive has cinema cameras. So anyway, you hook them up to this. And with these cinema cameras, usually you're having SD cards that cost like $400 a piece. Very expensive. And then you're limited at your recording speeds. Now, if you record into that Ninja, you can unlock and double and triple some of the things your camera does. It's weird. So, like the GH5S has 2 slots for SD cards, And man, it was really hurt paying like $300 for those because one day they're going to be $10. King's rule: as soon as you buy it, it's cheap. Uh, so anyway, but you can hook them up to the Ninja. Then you go into your settings, and this thing will record like 800 megabyte a second. I mean, it's like a gig every couple of seconds, and yeah, you will fill up 1 terabyte in a few hours. And with 6K, and probably well above these recording speeds, insane. But then you get this really, really small amount of detail that you can crop into. So that's about how much data they have. Uh, we're never going to see it because it most likely went to Gary Nolan. And if you listen to Gary Nolan on a podcast, he does his science old school. You don't see nothing, you don't hear nothing until it's been peer reviewed, and then they report on it. So that takes years, right? So the stuff that he's got probably went to Gary. I don't know. It's probably some ufology. It's the same people showing up all the time. Probably went to the guys in SEU. Maybe a couple of guys in that last Skinwalker Ranch meeting. It's going to take years for peer review, but by then, what the hell good is information if we get 2028, 2029? That's old. Buddy. You have to keep it grounded. That's why you need a buddy to keep you down to earth. If you do this solo, there's some people I'm not going to name, but they don't have a buddy to keep them down. They're crazy. They just kind of woo, they lost it. Yeah, yeah, good for Gary. Gary, it's good to have a Gary. Now, can we get more Garys? Can we get some more people out of Harvard, Yale, some of these institutions stick right up their ass and start studying these things that up in the sky that are studying us? When we get back to Jake, discovery framework. This process takes time. So yeah, the best you're going to see is probably um, just like a compilation. You're not going to see the raw stuff like we do. We had successes with both psionics and dog whistle. It's a neuromeditative interaction, which is basically channeling, and electro mechanical signaling. That's their dog whistle. And consider that this data to be some of the best evidence gathered by a private entity. Well, he hasn't seen 4K Skywatching, now has he? Because I think we have more impressive stuff than I've seen from their Tetras. Um, During this review phase, we aim not only to assess what we have gathered so far, but and find ways to improve the quality and diversity of the data we gather, as well as innovate experiments to run. This will require collaboration with a number of third-party who hold the right credentials and authorities to help us dig deeper. It sounds like that. Expanding our team to include other individuals and entities with key talents, interests, and responsibilities related to the subject. Exciting times. Yes, it is. Lastly, I think I can speak on behalf of all of us here that this work is the most exciting thing any of us have done. But Skywatcher is not a full-time job for any of us. We all spend the majority of our professional time doing a variety of things that pay the bills and further our careers. And this new industry developing in UAP studies, aerial intelligence, and CUAS is full of hope and opportunities for us as working professionals in a unique skill set and background. It's a blessing to have an industry forming that needs our niche in individual goods and services. Going to work at Home Depot is not really an option. No offense to Home Depot. It's one of my favorite stores. What the fuck? Goods and services? Us. I don't know. All this shit's secret and in some vault. So I'm doing this live. So this is a goods and services. I don't look at it this way. I look at this as just doing what we got to do. Goods and services. Man, they really figured out how to monetize this. And he threw Home Depot under the bus. What the fuck? They provide reliable tripods for all people out there. So we don't discriminate on where we get our gear from. Ultimately, all of our individual ventures outside of Skywatch follow us and bring more to the table for Skywatch mission. Well, look forward to getting back to it, and the adventure continues. Well, great. Hopefully, I don't know. Wouldn't the time he lifted it, crashed UFO and delivered it to Lockheed headquarters or something be more exciting than Skywatching? That's just me, but I think flying a helicopter and lifting an alien spacecraft and that shit that got in his mind and started crying, that probably is a little more exciting than what have they got? 7 weeks, so that's nearly 2 months of skywatching. So they're still learning. So that's good. Uh, I think it's fundraising. Hopefully, there's another round. We don't need pay. That's the good thing about 4K Skywatching is this will continue going on and on and on. We did not need ratings. We do not have commercials and weird stuff that we got to hit to. We will keep Skywatching, and there'll probably be more people um, doing that. At least TV's funny. You don't need a helicopter to do none of this. You can do this with the gear you have. So let's catch up on what's going on in the chat. See, when they don't do any of this stuff, they don't have any feedback from people doing this too. Because if they were doing their sky watching live and reporting, just keep the location secret, they can get live feedback from people saying, hey, I got some gear you need, or something else into the mix. But that's them. But at least they're doing the work. Real aliens, ghosts, ghouls, goblins. Yeah, Gary, like us, Dan, we got our hands in all kinds of fires out there, don't we? Yeah, good to see you guys too. I got it. Kind of my eyes a little messed up. I went to the eye doctor today. So this was another appointment. I had a cataract surgery. What, I think 30 days ago or so. They dialed my eye in last Wednesday. I went back today, and they go, "Do you like it? Do you want to change it?" That's fucking crazy, man. They have this technology now. If you don't like your vision, they can correct it a certain number of times. So I have my eye corrected for the vision of these monitors, and I can see it perfectly now to read the text. Can't quite do the phone, but distance and this fixed eye is not set to infinity. So I got to figure, like you're focusing the camera. I can't have like a GoPro where it sees close and far. I got to kind of pick. So I picked this. And they go like, "You want to keep it?" I said, "I don't know. What are the options here? Um, can I go back to far away?" So I can go back to far away if I want, but then the close-up stuff is messed up. Um, so they said, "Here, we can give you a contact lens, and you can make a decision here in the office or take it home." And I'm like, "Well, this is pretty heavy shit. I don't want to just make a willy-nilly. What if you change your mind? Because if I was a girl or identified as one, I'm changing that mind, right?" Um, but I kind of like this, but they said we can maybe get a little bit better. So they gave me a contact lens with that extra oomph in it. So I'm wearing that all weekend and driving this eye, taking this eye for a test drive to see if I like it. Um, I don't know if I do. I think I like the one with the contact lens out because I can feel the contact lens in. Never had them until now. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, you can dial your eyes in with this new tech, and then they're going to lock it so it doesn't slip. That's crazy because mine was all messed up. I mean, I got to tell you that the sequel to the Sedona one, that was fucking iffy when I was driving there because I was like, yeah, I can see. I was like, shit, I hope I don't crash. So we're good now. We're good now on the eye. So we're already setting up, or talking about where's our next Skywatch for our group. Where are we going to do another one? Where you guys want to see us go? I think maybe Superstition Mountains. Next, we'll do a local one. We can do that quick, uh, any day of the week. Or another one up north by Scottsdale. Do one up there. Or White Tanks. Let's hit East Valley and go over there. Me and Clyde were talking maybe the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon, I don't know shit about that place, really. I hear that there's areas you can't go to. They won't let you in because, Indians and shit. And the government keeps all the good illegal stuff behind closed doors. So I'm thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice if we had like a drone that could just go in and do LiDAR of the whole thing if that's not already done? Maybe there's some secret stuff up there. But yeah, anywhere around there. The weather's going to cool off in about 5 weeks. So there's going to be a lot more sky watching in the field. So I'm hoping to do some more live stuff where we're broadcasting out in the field live and get a better stream so I don't have the thing drop and go to hell. We can get that all worked out. I just don't want to buy another. I don't want to buy a Starlink and then have like a $300 to $400 a month internet bill. Um, Man, that's expensive. That's some expensive shit to Skywatch. Where are you at, Grayall? Type in the chat where you're at. I want to know where everybody's from. I think Marcus is from Norway, from Europe. Um, Eric Moyen, welcome to becoming the Skywatcher. New member, thanks. That unlocked some videos, some raw footage videos from the second episode, and video processing. I just posted the Nellis video in 4K, and I cleaned it up with AI tools and stuff. And what I did with that is I also AI cleaned the audio. So when you listen to that Nellis stuff, you could, for I think maybe one of the first times, actually hear what those air traffic controllers are saying. Now, in the member section is closed captions of that, also done by AI. We got this as close as possible, but you can hear them saying, "Don't tell the commander." What? So wait, while they're recording this UAP, don't tell the commander? Someone went to fucking jail for that. That actually happened. The person who smuggled that tape out is my source who gave me this copy. It's about a second generation copy. Knows the person who went to jail. Now, I wonder, why don't we know his name? He went to jail 30 years ago. He ruined his career, got stripped of his security clearance, went to jail for that videotape. Why don't he come out and go to Jesse Michaels and ask for a check and do an interview, or Corbell, do something, say, I was the guy who leaked this, and here's what happened. Nothing from these damn boomers. Man, these guys will go to the grave and keep these fucking secrets with them. I mean, even my source, he knows his name. Is this guy even alive? If he's dead, let's get his name out there. Let's at least look back in history and say, this happened from these people. We got these gaps that can be closed by people just saying, I was involved with this. Where are the person who said, don't tell the commander? Where's the audio people? They could come out. They're not going to get thrown in prison over this old shit. So I don't get it. The millennials, they're not taking this to the grave. They're getting in these jobs, like Rush, and saying, this is fucked up. This should not be classified at all. It's not, hey, I'm going to wait until my pension kicks in, and then I'm going to retire and use this as a side hobby. The millennials ain't doing that. They ain't playing that shit. They're talking. So, yeah, there's some videos in there to check out. I also put up stuff all the time. Usually videos I post will hit the member section a day or so early. Yeah, Home Depot, what the fuck? I mean, that's just saying he's above that. I get that from doctors I go to that, they save lives and they think like we're kind of beneath them. We kind of in the pyramid are, because they save lives. But a helicopter pilot is not above a motherfucker who works at Home Depot. God damn, this type of shit pisses me off. This is why I got pissed at MUFON back in '97. They called me just a fucking construction worker. In Dr. Linkatai's book, that's all I am. She's a doctor, and I'm just a construction worker. That's all I ever was going to be, right? Not. I'm a fucking computer programmer. I'm the type of person who builds your servers and keeps them running and keeps the Chinese hackers out. So this caste system of classes is bullshit. Just because you can fly a helicopter, don't make you no better than the guy who's checking out your tripod from Home Depot. We're all the same here, man. We all put our fucking underwear on one leg at a time. Dark Sky Ranch, man. We got to get something going for our next Skywatch. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Are you guys drinking out there tonight, man? I'm drinking this goddamn whistleblower coffee. So try some of that. All right. Oh yeah. I remember you're from Minnesota. Minnesota, where everybody's nice up there. I used to live close to that place. But yeah, man, set up your own skywatching thing. Start with yourself, and then get a buddy, and then people will come. People will come to your skywatches. Set up your own system. We need to set up a network. If I ran MUFON, what I would do is say, hey, MUFON does go out and they do their own skywatches. I don't know if it's a regular basis, but they're more of an after the fact type of investigatory place. I would make it proactive that we will be there when the UFOs unfold, like I did on the Phoenix Lights. We are going to be riding on the top of the wave of what the fuck is going on. That's right. Um, yeah, that's another thing. A lot of you look at MUFON, everybody has a degree. Well, this person has a bachelor's, and who gives a fuck? Your college degrees you pay for don't really mean shit. Like your high school degree. I don't have a fucking degree in computer science, and I bring home pretty good money. So you don't need a degree. You can have experience. Usually, you have to have a buddy who works in the company who tells the HR guy, "Hey, I got a guy who's really good. We need him here. I already got pre-approval to hire him." That's usually how that shit works. So moving on to UFO news. Tuesday, uh, I believe it's Tuesday, is the UFO hearings are coming up. Historical hearings are happening because these don't happen once a year. But don't expect the floodgates to open after this hearing is over. Don't expect Wednesday for them to wheel out the bodies. So have your expectations very, very tempered. Um, so here's the people that we're going to be hearing from. Jeff Nusatelli, I believe is how you pronounce him, a U.S. Air Force veteran who has discussed witnessing aerial phenomena. First-hand witness, specific details about his condition and status are not known in this report, but I think he talked about a red cube hovering over the military base. If I'm not mistaken. Dylan Boardland, another U.S. Air Force veteran, UAP witness. These guys I think have all spoken before, but I'm not sure about him or what their stories are. Alex Wiggins, a Navy veteran, claims to have spotted UAP on radar in 2023. As mentioned, his dad is Area 51 alumni. And then, of course, everybody's Uncle George Knapp. He's a legend. It's George motherfucking Knapp, man. Yeah, this guy, people at my work know who he is. They don't know much about ufology, but they know, hey, who George Knapp is. He's a household name. A journalist and a UFO podcaster. He's a lot more than that. He's an investigative journalist. I believe he's won a couple of Emmy Awards from his local news, which is pretty hard to do. He's also a host on Host to Host, reporting UFO-based stuff. He was also on Investigation Alien. He recently released some videos of Philip Corso from back in the day. He's an OG legend, so I don't know what he's going to talk about and drop. Now, Paulina Luna said that there were a lot of witnesses they wanted to have, but they're scared to death, and she means literally scared to death they're going to be killed. Okay. Can they name who? We know it's CIA, spooks, right? Start fucking putting these people's faces up on the internet and saying, here's the email I got from this crooked son of a bitch. He's threatening my life. To report him to an inspector general and have him arrested, right? These are more stories. I don't know if these are real threats, bullshit threats, perceived threats, or what. But it's like people are saying with the Epstein stuff. Quit saying it happened and start naming fucking names, man. Start holding these people accountable. So we're not going to get what we think. Now, when a real investigation is when they subpoena the CEO of Lockheed Martin, of Raytheon, the head engineers, right? CEO, we know they're going to lie. Get him and a bunch of his engineers and say, if you lie and we find out, you and your family go to prison. That's what they say to keep the secret, that we're going to kill all of you. So you just throw, you're going to go back. We're going to reopen Alcatraz, throw all your UAP secret asses in there. Get him. When you start getting people from Lawrence Livermore Labs, Sandia National Laboratory, you start subpoena the people that are in charge of material coming and going. And some of the CEOs, you start holding these people's feet to the fire, then we're actually going to get that, right? But Corbell himself, Jeremy Corbell says, no firsthand witnesses that actually are in the program currently are coming forward because they will not burn this program down and expose it while China and Russia have the equivalent running secretly. Kind of makes sense, but people are just sick and tired of this secrecy and want at least a bit further. So until we see at least something like that, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. Until they get like Pete Hegworth, a fifth of Jack, and get him blacked out drunk and say, now, what the fuck is that Area 51? He won't know. He'll tell you all fucked up. Relapse that dude. Then we got Mark Rubio. He sure the fuck knows what's going on now. He's silent. Or Trump. You know, if we don't have President Trump reveal what's going on, it's never going to happen. Because if we have like a regular politician, a Bernie or Gavin or anybody get back in there that's not like a weird guy like Trump, no secrecy. There's not going to be anything coming. So that's coming. Like here's an example. I think a lot of us saw this yesterday. They blew up this goddamn boat, right? We saw the video immediately. There was no delay on that boat getting exploded. And how come there's where's the triangle videos? Where's all these UAP videos we hear about and we can't see them? But this video happens in the next hours later. Hours later, we get to see it and they black it out. So they better get the fucking work on declassifying all these UFO videos. And they should be putting these things out and start their own equivalent of UFO Netflix from the Pentagon and start putting this shit out. Now, here's what they get. They don't talk about because they don't want to give away methods and means. Well, they gave away something. I mean, look at this boat. Does that look like a bomb exploded? Nope. That boat's still there. That boat is on fire. So what blew up that boat? Look at this. They used, I think, UFO weapons on them. It's there. Whack. So they hit this thing with some type of directed energy weapon, whether it was a laser, whether it was some type of pulse microwave charge. They might have hit this from orbit with a satellite. I don't even know. They could just say, well, we bombed them with an F-35. That don't look like an F-35 bombing because they blow everything up in atoms. I mean, they pick your pieces up with a metal detector because there's nothing left of you. So I think that was some type of UFO weapon that blew up that boat. The boat's still there. Cocaine, if there's any's on fire. People's still there. That looks like, I mean, what is that thing? What is that weapon? They took them out. That was some shit right there. So that shows they could easily do UFOs. But when it's advantage to the administration, it's released immediately. So the whole cockamamie thing of, we're going to have these hearings and see if they know anything. Just go right to the president. Just go right to these companies I listed, man. This is just theater. That's all it is. Everybody's catching up. I've been saying that for years. That's what's happening. People are getting sick and tired of it. But the thing is we're kind of getting spoiled. It seems like nothing's happening, but here we're having hearings. Here we're having UAP stuff. We have Skywatcher groups doing stuff. We have different things that are coming out. Now, rewind 9 years ago, wasn't nothing going on, and here comes the gimbal video. Here comes Go Fast. Here comes the official Nimitz happen. So a lot of stuff has happened since then, but when it's happening in real time, it doesn't seem like anything. But if you take a break for 3 years and come back, shitload of stuff happened. So that kind of winds up tonight, 90-minute show. Try to figure out what's going on next week. You never know what's going to unfold. Reach, yes. Brandon. Let's see what you guys. Recent eyes on spin over. Thomas. Yeah, see, now the Thomas Brown has to go with the Nels footage, right? So the source that leaked, or just gave me, it's not leaked anymore, they gave me the second generation copy, is totally into that. And he believes that what we saw in the Nels was not an alien vehicle, but a Thomas Brown replica type, where that's using U.S. technology trying to figure this out. And they were doing a test to see if they could acquire missile lock on it, and they did. But the people from one of the air traffic controllers who saw it weren't cleared to see that type of object, and they shut the whole thing down. Now, Jason Sands has a different story. His story is he's driving around up in the Area 51, and this craft had landed, and the occupant got out looking for gas. He fucking believed that. Hey, we're out of gas. Fuck, land next to these rattlesnakes and let's look for some element 115 laying around. Fuck. Wow. So one of these two people are wrong because they both. This is one where they both can't be right. They both can't be right. Chopped up helicopter. And the source said when you see the nose footage, the black parts of the craft that you see, and the white parts, those balls are high voltage energy. He says positive goes one way, negative goes another, and there were two U.S. pilots inside that Nellis craft flying it around. So you think about that. That's 30 years ago, right? So if that's true, then we have UFO type of replica craft that they were flying around Area 51. So that makes me question this whole I3 Atlas type thing. Have they taken these type of craft and then went and messed around in the solar system, right? And explored? Have they secretly already went to Mars and took a bunch of videos and came back? Have they went to other planets with this type of stuff? If the Kingman crash, if that's real, and they abandoned a UFOs with say the keys in it, and somehow you can steer it around, then, and we have many of these, then we could figure a lot of this out, or they did ahead of time. Think of this. Remember a few years back when the military got a hold of Avi Loeb and said, hey, something interstellar crashed in the ocean, and here's where it did? How do they know that? How does the military know that, but Neil Tyson deGrasse doesn't know that? That Mark D'Antonio doesn't know that? How does the astronomy community not know anything about that at all with all their stuff, but the military does? What that tells me is the military, they already know about this alien stuff, just like our group. We already know UFOs are real. We're just looking for the goddamn details now. So the Pentagon, they definitely know aliens and all that stuff's real, and they have a lot of these details, and they're looking deeper. So what if they've already looked at this Atlas comet or incoming thing with the Webb telescope, and that's all classified, and they dumbed down the resolution or photoshopped it because we can't see none of that in real time. We'll pay for it. How did they know there's an incoming thing? They probably have their own top secret Hubbles that are looking out and constantly watching these planets where they come from. If these grays that survived Roswell crash and then it crashes said, we're from this planet, they're going to find that planet, they're going to put up a top secret Hubble, and they're going to fucking watch that 24/7 for shit. They're going to put them under permanent surveillance. Because that's what I'd do if I was in charge. That's what I think any reasonable person is going to do if you're in charge of this cover-up and you know some of the planets they're coming from. You're going to have your own top secret taxpayer funded telescopes looking at those places constantly. That's how they have to have stuff like this. And they probably already have stuff like this, watching that Atlas thing going, or is this incoming aliens, right? Because if we have 10 different alien races, say, visiting this planet, what happens when the 11th comes in? And they come in, let's say the 11th alien is coming in, and it's the Jeff Bezos from outer space. They're coming in with goods and services. And they see, oh, look, there's a planet full of these human people. We could easily suck some of them up, throw them in a spaceship, throw them in slave labor forever. Or we could clone their consciousness, put in a robot body for eternity, and make her shit. But then we have these other 10 aliens say, nope, this planet's already, no vacancy here. We already have the Sphere Network, the Greys, and all, who knows, all this other stuff. We don't want you. That's what the Sphere Network would do. Take care of the 11th alien coming in and fuck up the shit. That's just kind of a theory, hypothesis. Yeah, subpoena. Yeah, subpoena these people. I don't give a fuck if you liked, if you're scared. Jesus Christ, I got scared watching Jaws, man. Or The Thing, or The Exorcist. I don't fucking care if you're scared. Get your ass up there and testify. Or cut the person off, find them out, fire them. You're no longer working top secret shit. It's time to turn the corner. All right, go. Yeah, it's time to get off. Maybe I'll get on, see what Spaced Out Radio's doing, and maybe check out what Fessler's doing. But I'll be back next week for episode 36. Thanks all you guys watching. I'm going to have an outro video of an electrical storm that took place a couple days ago. We had a lot of electricity going over. So I recorded that, and I want to thank all the people who support the channel, so we have some credits to roll on them. So remember to hit that like button. It's free. And hit that subscribe button. You get notifications when stuff comes out. I have an ear to the ground on everything going on with UFO video footage that's out there. Oh, thanks, Brandon. Thank you for that super chat. Kind of add you to the credit roll. So let's roll the out here. I'll chat with you guys on the way out. I'm Tom King. This is 4K Skywatch. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. We'll see you on episode 36.
Red alert!
Damn it, that's the wrong shit. And Josh Ronan, new supporter. Rest in peace, Renee Cruz. They say Hawaii has beautiful sunsets, but I don't know. We get spoiled here in Arizona with the stuff we see. And there is a Reddit, Phoenix, subreddit of Phoenix, and I find that there's a lot of skywatchers that take time lapse of this. So, and some of the people are up at these 5-story apartment complexes that they're building all over the country. So there are a lot of skywatchers out there watching. So I'm hoping that they accidentally stumble upon UFOs. This was interesting. It looked like two sunsets. What the hell? The sun set in two places? That was interesting. Those guys go from blue to purple to green to orange, all the colors of Lucky Charms. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know your location. We'll try and get some people hooked up with some UFO skywatching buddies. Try and expand the 4K Skywatching network globally to more places. You don't need a helicopter to do this either. Start with your phone, and then slowly move up. Maybe a psionics, and eventually maybe a Home Depot tripod, and eventually you will record UFO footage too. If you have never seen a UFO before, you will after skywatching and taking lessons from 4K Skywatching channel. Nice old video too. We'll see you guys next week on episode 36.